Hi, this is Trudy Talk and welcome to episode 3 of Trudy Talk. We're following on from the previous episode, continuing on the topic of limiting beliefs. If you haven't already grabbed your free worksheet, you might like to head to tinyurl.com/podcasttv and download your free copy. And while you're there, you might also like to download the free What Are Your Fears worksheet, because I'm going to take you through that worksheet in episode 4. So my hope is that you've identified an area in your life that you are working towards improving. And it's much easier if you actually focus on one particular area of your life so that you can keep your honest self-reflection focused and committed to that area. Obviously, you can do that across all areas, but at the moment, if you just stick to one area of your life, is it relationships? Is it business? Is it health? Is it your finances? What area of your life are you wanting to commit to improving right now? And stay focused on that area if you can. Okay, so in the last episode, we discussed limiting beliefs. And here's a quick summary. So limiting beliefs are really simply a filter system that's been put in place by your mind to simplify the amount of data you need to access at any one time. Without these filters, we would get far more overwhelmed and confused. Because the information, though, forming these filters was programmed at a very early age, the information there may not all be the most useful or valuable for you in your life. So these current filters, they seem real to you because they are your reality until you decide that they don't positively serve you and you choose to reprogram these beliefs for more positive ones. So we've identified in the previous episode that many of these limiting beliefs came from sources that had different views on life than we may have or want to have, but have accidentally passed their views on to you. So even though we may not at a conscious level agree with them, even though we may hear ourselves saying something to someone and think, oh, that's not something I actually believe, at a subconscious level, you're filtering your life through the view of the filter and the programs and the narrative that you've inherited. And, you might even realize that sometimes we're too afraid to argue with that particular narrative, because let's face it, not everyone likes to argue with themselves or even possibly admit that they're doing something wrong. So, but let's forget about being right or wrong, because it's not about that. It's more about what does and what doesn't serve you. So what are the limiting beliefs that you identified from the worksheet that was provided to you? So if you don't have a copy of that yet, go grab it at the link that's been provided and download it. So there's a range of limiting beliefs there. And in that worksheet, I asked you to identify the top 10 statements that you can identify as having as a limiting belief, or even to actually write down your own. Now, if you were performing some honest self-reflection and you really were taking note of the statements that you make to others, or the observing the behavior that you have towards situations, you would pretty well be able to identify some surface level limiting beliefs quite quickly. There's a difference between surface level and deeper limiting beliefs that you have to delve a bit deeper, but it doesn't really matter. At the moment, we just want you to have identified some limiting beliefs that no longer serve you. So which limiting beliefs did you identify with? And then what we're going to do is we want to go through a very quick process at a conscious level of, discussing and dissolving some of these limiting beliefs. You've got to understand that it's the job of the subconscious mind to store and abide by your beliefs. Okay, your beliefs are placed there. They've been there for a long time. And so therefore, the radar or the filter of information is focusing on you achieving those beliefs that you actually have in your subconscious mind. In some ways, we could say it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And in some areas, we'd say that's probably not a positive self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's why it's really important that we identify the limiting beliefs that no longer serve you. Okay, so step 1 of the process is identifying your limiting beliefs. So you've got a worksheet in front of you, or you've written them down in a notepad. And what I want you to do is I want you to acknowledge them by actually saying them out loud. So for instance, life is hard, or I can't achieve anything because I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough support, or whatever it is that you've identified as a limiting belief, something that's not allowing you to enjoy deep fulfillment, content, and success in an area of your life. So either write it down and then say it out loud. Acknowledge that limiting belief that you've identified. And step 2 is we want to acknowledge the purpose of this belief, because the reason you have beliefs at all is because some time in your life they've served some sort of purpose. So I want to ask yourself this question: does this belief, the one that you've identified, does it serve me positively in my life? What's the purpose of having this belief in my life? So if you've got a limiting belief that life is hard, does that serve you? What is the purpose of having that limiting belief in life? Or is there a purpose at all? Or was it just simply one of those inherited ones? An inherited story that you heard someone say often enough so that you actually thought it was your own. So go through every single limiting belief that you have and just try and limit it to a few. You don't want to overload yourself. You want to commit to working on resolving some limiting beliefs at a time. So you've identified your limiting belief, you've said it out loud to confirm that that's a limiting belief that you have in your life. You ask yourself a question: does that belief serve me? Does it have any purpose to be in my life? How does it positively serve me? And then you want to find evidence of how it's affecting your area of your life. So for instance, in relationships, if you have a narrative or a limiting belief that says all men are, and a negative statement that comes afterwards, or all women are, and a negative statement that comes afterwards, how is that affecting areas of your life in your relationships? Find evidence of how any of your limiting beliefs are affecting you in your other areas of life, whichever area you've chosen, whether it's health, whether it's finances, business, career, whatever it might be, and ask yourself, how is this limiting belief affecting areas of my life? And then I want you to find evidence of where you've seen or personally experienced another person having proof that shows that your belief may be flawed. For instance, I've had many, many people on my workshops over the last 20 years, and I've had people that say, well, I've got dyslexia. And I say, wow, great, you're a genius. There are a lot of other geniuses out there that have become entrepreneurs. In this particular workshop, there was a few people there that had dyslexia. So we talked about how do we outsource some of the skills that you may need, but at the same time still use your amazing gifts and skills and knowledge that you have. I've had other people that have had, even in my case, a physical issue with the body. I've got a pin in my knee, and I know for a fact that when I used to say, I'm not going to be able to do this because of this, it was a limitation. I've seen paraplegics be, top athletes in their field. So I know that there's evidence out there to show that there are other people that have actually achieved far higher achievements. So that limiting belief, I've got evidence that that's actually not really an accurate belief. There was a purpose that actually had me maintain that belief. But that's why you've got to find your purpose, but also now start to find new evidence about the possibilities and the opportunities that exist without having that belief. Maybe you've had relationship issues in the past. So you've got a narrative or a limiting belief or a statement that says that, relationships don't work. But, look at evidence observe people in relationships that are supported and loved and happy. Find the evidence, even if it's a glimmer of hope of evidence or an enormous amount of evidence, that your limiting belief can start to become defunct so that you can create a new one. And in the next step, what I want you to do is I want you to make a conscious choice to relinquish this old limiting belief and stay committed to doing so. And a way to do that is to write down some new beliefs that override these old beliefs, and choose to actively commit to noticing your language, your action, your behaviors that might initially go against your new beliefs, and bring yourself back into line with your new belief. You've got to remember that some of these limitations have been there for so long. They're a default program. And in order to create a new program, you need to stay committed consciously to pulling yourself up when you actually go back to that old program and actually state, oh, hang on a minute, no, this is my new belief. This is what I believe. So some broad old limiting belief examples are, life is hard, or life is add to it, blah, 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 whatever it might be, something that limits you. And a new example is life is a canvas with amazing opportunities. When you're looking through the lens of a filter that says life is hard, you will be drawn to situations that make life hard. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So maybe you don't want to be so bold and brave as going life is a canvas with amazing opportunities. Maybe you want something in between, but be clear about your new belief. Be clear about releasing that old limiting belief of life is hard. Another example is a lot of people say to me, I can't do this because, blah, blank. I don't have your skills. I'm too old. I don't know enough, or, all of these stories. And maybe a new belief can be, I haven't yet worked out how to do this, but I know that I will. I'm committed to learning how to do this. Or another positive belief is, I can succeed in this area of my life, instead of an old limiting belief which says I can't succeed until I have this, or this. You might choose the new positive belief to be, I can succeed, and I've identified that I'll commit more to self-reflection, conscious action, and my personal growth as a way of accelerating my success. And you might even choose an area in your life, say for instance procrastination, and you come up with a conscious choice. For instance, I'll set a time limit when I want to get things done and write down some goals and action that I commit to taking. The more that you commit to taking conscious action, the more you can support yourself in rewiring these beliefs. Now, do some of these beliefs rewire and reprogram quicker at a subconscious level? Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about that later on. But at the moment, I want you to start identifying these beliefs, commit to making some more conscious choices. And in the coming up episodes, we're going to talk more about limiting beliefs, more about fear, and more about working at both a conscious and a subconscious level. So the next episode coming up is about fear. Grab the free fear worksheet at the link in the bio. Spend a couple of days, even a couple of moments each day on identifying your limiting beliefs, acknowledging them out loud, acknowledge the purpose that they're serving, find evidence on how they're negatively affecting your life, and then find evidence on how they can positively impact your life by giving yourself proof and evidence that there are ways that you can actually achieve success in that area of your life. Much love from me to you, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon. Have an awesome day and enjoy your honest self-reflection.